I, 27 female, have never been particularly close to my family. My parents, 62 mom and 63 dad, had always been partial towards my brother Nathan while growing up because he was their sole true heir, and I was like this unlucky pick they got off a claw machine they played for a second son. I come from a staunch Christian family that strictly believed in set gender roles while growing up, so much so that I'd be getting knitting needles for Christmas when I was a kid, while Natty got 3 to 5 expensive toys that he'd asked for that year. I hated going to church groups and Sunday schools and eventually turned out to be an atheist, much to the chagrin of my parents. I funded my own college and further studies with a loan I'm still repaying to this day, while they had separate college funds for their blue-eyed boy. My father never approved of my career choices because a homely woman is a graceful woman, and he always thought I was silly to pursue a career in science. I'm a physicist because women aren't good at numbers. I'm terrified at failing at anything in life because I know that'll reinstate their faith in my stupidity. I went no contact with their lot 2 years back when they tried to pressurize me to marry a random man from our hometown because apparently he could recommend my brother, 31, to a job position he was vying for, while trying to package it as, "Okay, Lassie, you've had your little fun and games. Now it's time to settle down and be a responsible adult." Then on, I've talked to my mom over the phone a couple of times during the holidays, but that was about it. Last month, my mother rang to tell me that my brother had been diagnosed with leukemia, and they need me to fund his medical care. I had started saving up for a house, and she told me she knows about my little nest egg, but I do not need it because some man will provide for me eventually. I flat out refused and told her they could get themselves a loan if they're so hard on cash. But this tiny lump sum has taken me almost 4 years to gather, and I can't jeopardize my future for this. Since then, I'm getting calls and texts from most of my extended family, telling me how much of a selfish idiot I am, how it's my duty to my brother and my family to stand beside them. My father yelled at me over the phone, calling me an ungrateful little witch who abandoned them at the mere sight of greener shores. I'm having second thoughts as to if I really am a gigantic loser for not footing my brother's medical bills since I have the money for it. Am I the idiot? My brother was a bully growing up, aided by the disinterest from my parents, who always chose to look the other way. But as an adult, he actually made an effort to mend his relationship with me. We don't speak a lot, but I do talk to my brother way more than I do to my parents. I'm quite apprehensive of the kind of medical assistance he's going to get in these times, and I'm prepared to help out whichever way I can borrow the money. I, as a person, am extremely insecure and paranoid about my future money situations, and I don't think I can put that up for a toss for anything at all. You are not the idiot. Your family sounds like someone has created a misogynist cartoon show. Women aren't good at numbers? I was half expecting a joke about the physics of sandwiches. Regardless, it's your money, so your choice. It's as simple as that. Just tell them, surely, with their collective power, how much money they would all be able to raise if they sold their houses. You are not the idiot. It's sad about your brother and your family, but this is your future nest egg. In a traditional household, doesn't the son usually inherit the most anyways? So they can give him his inheritance early if need be. This is not on you. You are not the idiot. You are doing absolutely nothing wrong. Keep your money. You can bet that you won't see a penny when your parents pass, because it will all need to go to Natty, while you're apparently supposed to find a man to support you. You went no contact for a reason. Don't let them drag you back in. If your parents want to fund your brother's medical treatment, they can use their savings, take out a second mortgage on a house, pass a collection basket at church, etc. You need to prioritize your future. You are all idiots here. Yeah, your parents sound awful, but what about your brother, the actual sick person? It sounds like you are jealous about how your parents feel toward and treat him, and are in an opportunity to punish him about that, which is an idiot move. I didn't pick up much about your thoughts on him, other than jealousy that he had more toys and attention as a child. Separate your feelings about your parents from the equation and reevaluate based on your relationship with him. My husband and I had to move in with his mom, and it ended up being a lot longer than any of us expected. We now have plans to move out, and mother-in-law has been sick of us for the past couple of months. She has always been critical of how we spend our money, My birthday is a week before her boyfriend's, and she complained at dear husband for taking me out on a date, but she planned a surprise ski trip for her boyfriend. My husband and I celebrated our 1-year anniversary and chose to celebrate with a vow renewal. Mother-in-law thought it was a bad idea and was vocal about no one wants to go to a 1-year vow renewal, and her boyfriend was mad about us doing it in the yard without asking. It isn't his yard, he moved in with her. Her boyfriend proposed to her, and they went to Hawaii and ended up eloping, like a week before the vow renewal. The morning of, they were both annoying, whining about not wanting to get dressed, and her now husband was being awful to us. Mother-in-law got mad when she saw me in the wedding gown and started yelling about our finances. Then she complained at me for not having enough chairs and people having to stand. The ceremony was perfect, but during the social part, I noticed that she kept standing with her hand on her husband's chest, fishing for someone to notice the wedding band. Some people I don't know showed up, and I asked mother-in-law about it. She said that they were her husband's friends, and since there was no formal seating, it was fine. Finally, someone noticed her wedding band, so she got to be the center of attention the rest of the night. People wanted to see the pictures from Hawaii. Her mom was mad at her for eloping and made her pose in front of my flowered arch. I told her discreetly that she wasn't the bride, and she said I wasn't either. She ended up falling in the stupid pool, and some of the people she invited went swimming with clothes on. I was hurt and angry. When the guests left, I tore into her for being selfish. I said that she stole the spotlight on purpose. Mother-in-law got mad at me for yelling at her in her house. I screamed multiple times that she was selfish, and now she isn't talking to me, and said if she was selfish, I would have been homeless for 9 months. I feel like that is beside the point. I also said she should have taken the band off, and that made her mad, and she said it was inappropriate to ask because she's married now. My husband is fully on my side. You are the idiot. You got married again 1 year later in her backyard during a global situation, and you're mad at her for wearing her wedding ring at her house and swimming in her pool. Look, I'm not saying she doesn't sound like she sucks in general, but in this situation, to almost quote Dylan, it ain't her, babe. Please don't have children. This bloodline must end. You are the idiot. I would be mad too if you were mooching off me and planned a 1-year vow renewal. Homelessness would be in your future. If you don't want people in your financial business, don't move into their home. And being upset that she wore her wedding band at your party is just petty. She made a fair point. She isn't selfish after supporting you for 9 months. You were the one being selfish by wasting her money. Guess what? He is married to her, and it's now his home. You should have asked. You are such an idiot. It reflects more negatively on you being an entitled mooch that makes demands that they have no place to make. And again, it is her property. Yes, she acted childish, but you even more so. It was a vow renewal, not a wedding, in her yard, at her house, that you used as a venue. Question: did you even pay her to use her yard? You are all idiots here. Sounds like you're all a bunch of selfish, self-involved children here. And for the record, I agree with your mother-in-law that a 1-year vow renewal with a full-on wedding dress and a party is a bit much. One of the longtime clients of my company is a local celebrity who is very influential in the area where me and my family live. Over our close to 10-year working relationship, we went from just doing business together to becoming good friends. Let's just call this client and friend John. John proposed to his fiancée a year ago, and they have slowly been planning their wedding since. I, 50 male, found out from him a couple of days ago that because he didn't want his wedding, which will be in August, to be too big, that they at most could accommodate 4 members of my family. I have 6 kids. One daughter, 19, is from a previous relationship. I never married her mom. Then with my current wife, 43, I have 5 kids, 4 sons and 1 daughter. The entire family, including my 19-year-old who is subletting a room, was there when I found out about the wedding invitation situation. Everybody in my family knew about John because he owns a very well-known business in our area and is big about donating to charities. So they were, except for my wife who hated weddings, excited and wanted to go. My wife going was obviously a given. So for the other two people I could bring, I had to make some tough decisions. My oldest son, who was a senior in high school, was going to intern with me this summer. So this could be a rare event to get to know one of my bigger clients, right? And make a good impression as someone who's probably going to take over one day. But the problem is that my son and his half-sister hated each other. His half-sister at one point talked about wanting to get experience at my business, but my son has worked with me, and at this point, he's pretty determined to take over when I retire, and she feels robbed. I know they would probably glare at each other if we went to the event. My wife also has had problems with her stepdaughter, but graciously suggested drawing straws for the last guest. I knew my other two sons got bored easily and couldn't sit still. However, my youngest daughter is the sweetest kid and is a calming presence for both her older brother and us. I have an exceptionally good relationship with her. I also knew her mother would be happy for her to be here to make the event at least tolerable, so I ended up saying that she could go. It overall was a hard decision. When I went to tell my 19-year-old who was going, she flipped out, accusing us of choosing mama's boy and daddy's princess. She said she knew people in the publishing industry who were going to be there, and she wanted to eventually be an author. I told her this is just one event. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Pretty cruel of you to constantly favor your eldest son over your eldest daughter. He gets to be groomed to take over the business and go to the fancy networking event, despite the fact that your daughter has expressed equal interest. And you don't see an issue with this? Your eldest daughter probably feels like an outsider in her own family. And from what I can see, it's probably completely your fault. So, yes, you are a major idiot. Just to add, in these situations, when you can't make two people happy, the right answer is not taking anybody. I mean, all OP had to say when they offered up to 4 people was, "Will just be my partner and I." Deciding otherwise is picking favorites, not between 2 siblings that hate each other, but all his 6 children. You are the idiot. If you were drawing straws to choose, why didn't you do the same for both invites? Why the automatic assumption that your son gets to go? It seems to me that you, for the most part, had already made the choice. So yes, you are the idiot. Side note, my heart goes out to your youngest daughter, who was the sweetest kid and the calming presence for your family, because having those roles foisted upon me as a child still has, riddled me with anxiety and depression, as I was placed in an awkward position of having to fix everything and navigate situations that a child shouldn't have to deal with a smile on my face so no one would know. This is a great way to make the oldest daughter resent the youngest daughter, who did nothing wrong. She's the calming presence because she's the only girl out of the lot of boys that OP has with his wife. You know, his real family. Ugh. My boyfriend and I are both 18 and 35 weeks pregnant with our daughter. Since the day I found out we were having a girl, he was bent on naming her Renesmee and absolutely refuses to compromise. He's a massive Twilight fan. I personally hate it and would much rather we don't name our baby after a fictional character. It kinda hit boiling point last night. For weeks, I've been telling him we are coming up with something else because I'm not naming my child that. I went onto Instagram where he had posted a picture of us and said in the caption, "I can't wait to meet you, Renesmee." I got really mad at this. I told him to delete that or change the caption because I'm not naming our daughter that. He refused, saying his friends knew now, so we had to stick with it. I said, I haven't agreed to name our daughter after some stupid made-up character from the worst books ever made. Delete the post now or get out of my house. He left to spend the night at a friend's, and my parents who heard the argument said I should just let him name our daughter that, saying it probably means a lot to him and that I'm being an unreasonable idiot. Am I? I have a stutter and can't even say Renesmee out loud. I would much rather name my child something I can say. You are not the idiot. Baby names fall into the 2 yeses, 1 no category. He absolutely sucks for the post and trying to use that as leverage to get his way. Be careful about someone who uses such a tactic. Your parents also suck for telling you to just go along with the name. They get extra idiot points for saying you should just go along with a name you don't want, nor can you pronounce. At the hospital, presuming you're giving birth in one, I would tell the nurses not to let him sign the birth certificate without you. You are not the idiot. If he's getting this bent out of shape over figuring out a name you both can agree on, then I worry about his general preparedness for parenthood. Your parents taking his side is concerning. He's wrong. You're right. Find a name you both can agree on. If he digs his heels in and says it's Renesmee or nothing, then effectively he's waiving his right to a say. Also, just for clarity, the Twilight's character's name is Renesmee. If it's him misspelling it, then how big a fan could he be? You are not the idiot, and this is a huge warning sign. If he refuses to let you have a say in your own baby's name, how controlling is he going to be of you when you're raising a child together? You're 18, so yes, you are an adult, and judging from what you've posted, you're fairly mature. But is this guy seriously the one you want to spend your entire life with? He sounds like a toddler. Anyways, you are not wrong, and he needs to get a grip. He's literally 18. They are still kids. That's why they have such stupid ideas. People don't think about the fact that the child will have to deal with all the weirdness that comes with having a funky name. It will affect them in school, their job prospects, and that everyone is going to mispronounce their name for the rest of their lives. It gets old really quickly. This should be, Are We the Idiots? Because this is both me and my wife's plan. This happened in February 2020, and we still get hate for this, and it started to itch me from the inside, so I wanted to ask. I, 28 male, am from a real aristocratic vibe family. My grandpa was a good investor in the car business in the 1960s, and we currently have a company that earns multi-millions. My mom and her sisters grew so privileged because of this, and they all had really aristocratic obsessions. Everything has to be posh, up-brand, and royal. My dad divorced my mom when I was young because of these elitist issues. Real long story. And my grandpa supported him, so everyone from his family cut us off. It was mostly me, my grandpa, and my dad, but in the last 5 years, we started to reconcile. My girlfriend, 31, of 4 years, is from a middle-class family and used to thrifting and second-handing. I also started to do the same, and honestly, I love it. There are more stylish options. I am into old-fashioned, and it is really eco-friendly, also environment-friendly. For our wedding, we wanted a more old-fashioned look, and we found a vintage wedding dress from the 1990s for only 190 pounds, and I found a suit for only 210 pounds. We had 2 weddings because my in-laws' family lives in France, and we wore the same clothes in both weddings. My dad and my grandpa were there at my in-laws' weddings, and we had a lot of fun times, and there was a lot of stupid but fun drunk moments. My dad kissed my wife's aunt. A lot of old ladies hit on my grandpa. We also did some stupid stuff. I jumped from a cliff to the sea. My wife followed me, etc. It was like a hangover. We gave all the dresses to cleaning, and they turned like new after this. We also wore the same dresses to my mom's side. They all opposed to this, but when I threatened to cancel it, they stopped commenting. I was still suspecting something, so I had my best friend and my wife's 3 sisters, who are definitely people you would survive anything together, with us. It was a tense wedding. They tried the cheap wine trick on us, but it failed, and then my mom attacked my wife, saying you are a cheap little witch who was using my son. We did not give any reaction and kicked her out. Nonetheless, the wedding ended an hour later after that, when everybody started to leave and we went home. I still think we could have been more diplomatic. We are at square zero on our relationship, and everyone is fighting everyone currently. My grandpa is again separated from his daughters, and I still feel sad about it. My kids won't have a future grandma and a large family. You are not the idiot. There is nothing wrong with thrifting. It was your wedding, not theirs. She had the audacity to attack your wife like that at your wedding? You are well within your right to kick her out. To be honest, you both would be in the right if you chose not to speak to them, whether that be until they justly apologize to your wife or not again at all. More diplomatic than throwing out someone who's called your wife a cheap little witch? That's what you had to do. I can't see how anyone could act that way on their son's wedding day. Weddings are about the couple, and if they're having fun and not hurting others, then yay for them. You are not the idiot. I hope you and the bride have a long and prosperous, mom-free life.